praying to Guru, now we pray to Vaisnavas. It's Bimala Vaisnava. The first line is Hari Hari Kavi Mor Have Enode. Hari Hari Kavi Mor Have Enode. Bhakti Vinoda ei asha kori Bhakti Vinoda ei asha kori Bosiya Goduma Bahane Bosiya Goduma Bosiya Goduma Bahane Bosiya Goduma My Gurudev especially appreciated this kirtan. He would say, the essence of how to do bhajan is here. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying to Krishna. Hari Hari, oh my Lord, when will the day come to me when I'll have very deep attachment to a pure devotee, Rati Upajivi, and simply by being very attached to Krishna's dear devotee, Vasana Hoibekshin, all the material desires in the heart, they just go down, down and disappear. When we have attachment for materialistic persons, then our material desires increase. And when we have attachment to a transcendental person, then they disappear. And our life changes completely. As those to whom we give honor, we gradually transform and we become like them. Antari bahire samaviva amani manarahavo. When will I be the same inside and outside? That means niskapat. Not taking a shower in donkey urine. Amani manarahavo, giving respect to everyone and not demanding respect for myself. Then Satata Majya Rabo, I can remain immersed at every moment in kirtan and smaran, chanting and remembering Krishna. Translating to Russian. Don't use Sanskrit words. Don't say smaran. So, when will the day come when my bodily activities, taking bath, eating, going here and there, they'll be going on automatically just by habit. Abhyasa kore. Snana darshana bhojan deya swabhava kumarina chakadena satata firan. Like a potter's wheel is going round. Once the wheel is turning, the potter has two hands free to make his art. So when is my day going round by itself, and inside I'm free to be completely absorbed in Manah-siksa of Radha and Krishna. So, and what is favorable for bhajan, I'll be very attached to that. I'll be attached to singing bhajans, chanting Harinam, serving the deity, honoring Mahaprasadam, the association of pure devotees, all the things that are favorable, I will be attached. And bhajana joda pratikulataha didabhave tayogivo. And when will I give up very strongly anything which is unfavorable for bhajan? That means the attachment to materialistic persons. Oh, and especially eating the food which is not cooked and offered to Krishna. Ahara shuddhao sattva shuddhao stira buddhi. The Upanishads say, Ahara shuddhao, when your food is pure, that means it has been prepared with love and offered to Krishna. Then sattva shuddhi, ahara shuddhao sattva shuddhi. Then your mind becomes pure also. Then sattva shuddhao stira buddhi. When your mind is pure, you can meditate with steadiness. Nishta, sthirata buddhi, steadiness of the consciousness will come. The mind will not be restless, wandering here and there. But if we'll take anything that is prepared by a materialistic person and not offered to Krishna, then your mind will become overwhelmed with the thousands of desires, attachments and thoughts, worldly thoughts. She said, when will I firmly reject whatever is unfavorable for bhajan? And as I am going on, day after day, absorbed in the remembrance of Krishna, the time will come to give up my body. Haribol! And just remember, you all have to die. So, those who are not preparing, they are foolish. It's not like it's a surprise. You know, from the beginning you know that the end is coming. So don't live in denial. We have to practice, do bhajan now, to be absorbed in Krishna. Yam yam vapismaram bhavam chajatya nikalevram. Whatever you're absorbed in at the moment of your death, you will go there. So if you are practiced to be absorbed in Krishna, then you will go to Goloka Vrindavan. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, oh, Eya Shakori, this is my desire. Vasya Godrumavane, I am sitting in Godrum, one of the islands of Navadvip. And in my heart, Prabhu Kripa Lagi Vyakula Antare, I am in a constant anxiety. When will Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give me his mercy? Sada Kande, and I am always crying. Sangopane, but no one knows because I am hiding my tears inside. Outwardly I am cheerful and pleasant with everyone, but inside my heart is crying for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because the rasa thrives in secrecy. So he's hiding his feeling, then becomes more and more strong day by day. Everyone say, rasa thrives in secrecy.
Rasa thrives in secrecy.
Okay? Remember.
In Sanskrit?
I don't know. I have to look in Subodhini Tika. I will look. It's a good suggestion. Thank you. Oh, I want to read something from Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu from the first volume, but it has disappeared.
So many things have disappeared.
Who has taken it?
That's Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu's
No,
power.
it's down, I think.
It's down. Oh, okay.
Everyone knows where it is.
So, after praying to Guru and Vaishnavas, now we remember Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kali-Kukkura kandan jadi chao hai.
You have to find out. He's asking.
Kali-Kukkura kandan jadi chao hai. Kali-Kukkura kandan jadi chao hai. Kali-yuga very mercifully, Srila Thakur has kept the life, the biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this one song. From his youth in Navadvip, through leaving his home, taking sannyas, going to South India, meeting Ramananda Rai, coming back to Puri and delivering the king of Puri, Gajapati Prataparudra Maharaj, giving instructions to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami on his way back from Vrindavan. His relationship with Srila Haridas Thakur, Brajarasa Bhavana, in the end in the Gambhira, completely lost in meditation on Braj Lila. So the outline of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's whole life he has put in this song, for the devotees to be absorbed in remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Gaura Lila is Radha Krishna Braja Udbodak Lila. It awakens, automatically it awakens remembrance of Radha Krishna's Vrindavan Lila. So now we'll pray to Sri Radha Krishna, Chodato purusa-abhiman.
It's not here, I think.
Yeah, it's not in the yellow.
It's not there, but it's here. So distribute.
Может, по одному на двоих.
We don't have enough for everyone, but we have enough for every, I think, 2 people to share.
Rajmohan. Don't hold the songs. Okay, you need
Bole Vrindavan Bihar Lal ki jai, Barasanwali ki jai, jai Shri Radhe, jai jai Shri Radhe, jai jai Shri Radhe. Chodato purusa-abhiman. Chodato purusa-abhiman. Chodato purusa-abhiman. Saki kahabo suno sundari. Saki kahabo suno sundari. Saki kahabo suno sundari. Saki kahabo suno sundari. manamapi Sachiputra matra sarupam Rupam tasya gajamuri purim Maturim gostavatim Radha kunda magirivaram Aho Radhika madhvasam Prapto yasya patita kripaya Sri Guru Natosmi Gurave Gaurachandaya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadivya Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhaktya Bhina Aparada Lakshan Chipasta Kamari Sundar Shikanda Sheka Smaha Samuli Manora Radhikarasika Mama Kripanidhe Sapriya Chana King Korim Kuru Kanakal Jalada Gatro Nila Sonap Janitro Mragamadavara Bahalo Malati Kundamalo Tarla Taruna Vesho Nila Pitambaresho Smarane Britani Kunji Radhika Krishna Chandro Smarane Britani Kunji Radhika Krishna Chandro Tavaivasmi Najivami Tayavina Iti Vikyaya Devi Tam Ramam Janantakam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master. Asmadir Parmarad Tumaguru Padapad, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Shto Tarasata Sisiman, Rupanugatayavara, Srila Bhakti Vedant Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Guru's Guru and his Guru, and all our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And thirdly, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vancha Kalpanis. by the causeless mercy of Guru and Gauranga, we have been studying Sri Manah-siksa of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. My Gurudev, he used to put emphasis on 3 poems. First, Shikshastakam, the 8 verses that were given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, which show us in what mood to chant the holy name in each stage of our spiritual life. Secondly, Upadeshamrita, 11 verses, the nectar of instruction, composed by Srila Rupa Goswami, but this also he is composed after receiving these instructions from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself in Jagannath Puri. And there in Upadeshamrita is practical advice, how to live, how to behave, how to interact with the other Vaishnavas, how to chant and awaken taste and then do internal service. And then at the end of Upadeshamrita, there is a description of the gradations of the Dhams, the different holy places. How Braj Mandal is superior to Vaikuntha. And in Braj, Vrindavan is so wonderful because that is the place of Rasa Lila. But Giraj Govardhan is even superior place than Vrindavan. And at Govardhan, there is the highest place of all, Sri Radha Kund. So what intelligent person would not take shelter of that place, Radha Kund? Why? Because Rupa Goswami explained in the next verse, Karmi bhya parito hare pratya vyaktim jayo jnaninas te visjnana vimukta bhakti parama premaika nishtastita te vista pashupala pankajari shasta po pisaradika krista tatvadiyam tadiya sarasikam nasret kakriti. In this world there are persons who are very qualified. They are called karmis. You maybe think the karmis, they are low class people. When this word karmi is used, it means someone who is fixed in their duty of life. Like the other day we spoke about Bhishmadev. Bhishmadev had promised that Yudhishthira Maharaj will be victorious in the battle. But the Pandavas, they were not winning because Bhishmadev is so powerful. So Yudhishthira Maharaj came to him in the evening and said, "Oh grandfather Bhishmadev, you have given me the benediction that I will be victorious. But we don't know how to defeat you. So please tell us, how can we defeat you?" And then Vishnu, he's true to his word, he said, "Alright, this is how to do it. You take Shikandi as a shield. That time I'll lower my weapons." This is someone who has because Bhishmadev is a great devotee, but he's showing the nishta in doing your duty without attachment to loss or gain, victory or defeat, life and death even. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, it is better to die in the course of performing your duty than to give it up and do someone else's duty. So these are great persons. Like Dronacharya, his dharma is to teach. He's a Brahmin. And his speciality is warfare. So there was a prophecy that Drishtajumna, a boy called Drishtajumna, the son of Drupad, will kill him. And one day when new students were coming to his Gurukul, a boy came called Drishtajumna. So he has to decide who he will admit and not admit into the school. So he knows, in the future this boy will kill me. So what should I do? Should I teach him all the martial arts and skills of warfare that he needs to know? Or not? No, he did it. Because it's his dharma as a teacher, to teach those who come and qualified persons who come to take shelter of him. So, those who are very fixed in the dharma, the prescribed religious duties are the Vedas. They are called karmis. Such qualified persons are rare to find today. You see, Lord Ram, his father told him the day before his coronation as Yuvaraj, oh, you have to go to the forest. And Ram, it is the order of my Gurujan. And he carried it out. Like this. So, those who are dedicated to performing their prescribed duty at all costs without any personal consideration, they are called karmis. Kami bhyo parito hare, but superior to them are the jnanis. They are indifferent to the performance of karmas, because the performance of prescribed duties without attachment to the result, the purpose of this is to become purified of Rajagun and rise to Sattva. So those who are already situated in Sattva and the knowledge of Atma Deha Sambandha, the relationship between the soul and the body, that is called Gyan. This Gyan, understanding the relation between the soul and the body, namely that there is no relation, that is called Gyan knowledge. And it comes by Sattva Gun. So those who are situated in that knowledge and have left behind all karmas, they are called Jnanis, and they are superior. But Tebyo Jnana Vimukta Bhakti Parama Premaika Nishtastata, there are some who are not only practicing Jnana, but they are actually completely liberated from this world. And they have developed Bhakti. But their Bhakti is mixed with knowledge of the opulence of the Lord. Like the four Kumars. So superior to them are the devotees who are completely fixed in pure Bhakti. And amongst them, Te Bhyustha Pashupala Pankaja, the gopis are the best. And among the gopis, Te Bhyustha Pashupala Pankaja Disha Sopi Sa Radhika, Radharani is the best. Radhika is the greatest of all. Presta Tadvadiyam Tadiya Sarasi Kamna Sretkakriti. And just as Radhika, out of all the various persons, all these persons we have described are dear to Krishna. But in the successive order of more dear, most dear. Radharani is most dear, and as Radharani is most dear to Krishna, Radha Kund is equally as dear to Krishna as Radharani herself. Why? Because Radha Kund is Radharani's Abhinna Swarup. Radha Kund is not different from Radhika herself. So Rupa Goswami said, what intelligent person will not take shelter of Radha Kund? That means to take shelter of Radhika herself. Radhika has mercifully appeared in this form to give shelter to those who are intensely hankering to become her maidservants. In the last verse, Srila Rupa Goswami he says, Krishna Sutscha Pranaya Vasati Presi Byopi Radha Kundam Chasya Munibi Abitas Tatvikeva Vyadai Yat Prastarapilam Asulabam kim puna bhakti bhajam tat pramidam sukritapi sarasnato raviskaroti. Of all the objects of Krishna's delight,
Van alle objecten die Krishna van
Radhika is supreme,
is Shilas Radharani is
and her kund is equally as dear to Krishna. If one will simply bathe in the waters of Radha Kund, then one's Prem is fully aroused. Such love which is impossible to attain, even for great, eternally liberated personalities like Narad. So in the final instruction, Rupa Goswami is saying, what Krishna cannot give, what Radhika cannot give, even Radha Kund can give. And Radha Kund is both the karta and the vishay of the prem that it gives. Radha Kund is the karta, that means the agent, the giver of the love, and also the object of the love that Radha Kund gives. So in this way, see, on the inspiration of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami has given 11 verses, Upadeshamrita, by which we can focus on the goal of our life and how to achieve it. So the third poem my Srila Gurudev used to put emphasis on is Manah-siksa. And so this is what we have been discussing this week. So if you want to do bhajan very deeply and not be lost from the path of spiritual life, 3 things you must always keep in your heart: Shikshastakam, Upadeshamrita and Manah-siksa. Then you will always be close to Mahaprabhu and Rupa and Raghunath. In this song, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has given an illustration, example of what Raghunath Dasa Swami is telling to his mind. He has said, Brajay Radha Krishna Prachura Parichardhyami. Oh my dear mind, engage in very intimate service to Radha and Krishna. So here Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written this kirtan in his samadhi, in trance. He's saying, oh, Chodato, purusa-abhiman. Gone is my identity, purusa-abhiman, the identity of being Purush, the controller and enjoyer of the world. Purush, generally, in a general sense, people take this word Purush to mean male, and Prakriti mean female. But actually everyone in this world, whether they have male or female forms, they all have Purush bhav. The feeling that I am the enjoyer and the controller of my environment, Prakriti, nature around me. That is the outward flow, Bahirmukata, the outward flow of the consciousness into the world. And when that takes place, there is a bewilderment that we can control the world. Maya is very tricky. She acts like the inert elements to give us the impression that we can control her and enjoy her. But actually, the more we become attached and entangled in this, the more we become restricted, confined, and entangled in Maya, and the more and more suffering comes, more and more problems, and you see how you cannot control anything. It was a type of delusion. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I have given up purusa-abhiman. Kinkori hoilu ajikan. And today, O Kana Krishna, today I have become your maidservant. Along with the Sakhis, the friends of Radharani, in the forest of Braja, O Radhanath, O Lord of Radharani, I will engage in your service. I will pick beautiful flowers, jasmine flowers, champak flowers, beli, chameli, jui, malati, madhavi. So many different astonishing flowers are there in the spiritual sky. And taking the flowers, I will make a garland. And there will be pendants of tulsi manjaris in the garland. So the fragrance of tulsi is very dear to Krishna. And then when the garland is made, I'll give it to my Sakhi, the Sakhi under whose guidance I am serving. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Kamala Manjari, serving under the guidance of Lalita. And with great honor, that Sakhi will receive this garland. And from a distance I will watch as she goes towards Radha and Krishna who are seated together, and she puts the garlands that I have made on Radha and Krishna. That Sakhi will say, "Hey, Suno Sundari, oh beautiful one, listen to me. I want you to remain in my kunj and serve under my guidance. Every day you should make garlands. Don't worry about anything. Your maintenance, everything is now my responsibility. And my kunj is your kunj. At the time of serving Radha and Krishna, you should always remain very close to me. Sometimes you should prepare tambul, all the spices and the betel nuts, crushed betel nuts. You should fold them in a betel leaf and close it with a clove. Sometimes you should prepare camphor, and then you should give them to me, because I am yours. You'll serve under my guidance. Bhakti Nod Suniba. Hearing this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, overwhelmed with gratitude, bowed down at the feet of that Sakhi. This is Brajai Radha Krishna Prachura Paricharyam Niyatanu. My dear mind, always engage in the service of Radha and Krishna. So, anyone cannot do this artificially. But we are singing Kirtan to Gurudev, to Vaishnavas, remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by this crumb of respecting Guru and taking permission to remember Gauranga, Vaishnavas, taking their permission to remember Gauranga, and then taking the permission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gradually, the stage of dhyan, deep meditation will come. And then the holy name will reveal all these service opportunities. So if you want to do this, you have to be in very good association and be very determined. This is why this place, this ashram Ananda, is very favorable for bhakti. You see, nothing is here, only butterflies.
And flowers.
There's nothing to do here.
Oh. Yeah.
No, that only seva. Nothing to do here, only seva.
Only seva, yes.
If you are working in the garden, you are not working, you are doing seva. To prepare some fruits and vegetables and flowers for Gaur Gadadha. There is no karma here. There is only seva here. If World War III will happen, and you are here, you will not know. And if it ends and then afterwards World War IV, you will still not know. So Krishna is very merciful, Gaur Gadadhar are very merciful. That here in Anandam and other places, around the world, especially in Vrindavan and Govardhan. The Vaishnavas have made ashram. Ashram means shelter. The living entities are being tossed left and right and here and there by the powerful forces of karma, by the waves of Maya. Where will they go? But when they come to ashram, shelter, the shelter is the shelter of the lotus feet of Guru and Gauranga. Then you are saved. If one will be very humble and just engage in seva all the time, Nam seva and Vaishnav seva. And then gradually, the internal maturity will come to realize all these things that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing in his song. So, you notice that the first line is not about Vrindavan. The first line is Chodato purusa-abhiman. Necessary to give up the abhiman, the pride in being Purush, the male controller and enjoyer, taster, exploiter of the external energy. This has to go. So this purusa-abhiman has very fine components. And so here in the poetry of Manah-siksa, step by step, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is defining the fine components of that purusa-abhiman. Because as long as even the shadow of that is there, then one will not have clear realization of the service of Radha and Krishna. And so, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is writing from the perspective of a person who his realization is coming, but it is not perfectly clear. And he is giving instruction to his own mind how to remove, to give up attachment to the last shadows of the purusa-abhiman, so that his bhajan will become perfect. Understand? So, Brajman Prabhu asked yesterday, is there some kram, like in Shiksastakam, Anartha Nivritti Nishta Rucha Sakti, and so on. So, there's not exactly a gross kram like that, a sequence of the stages of bhakti here in Manah-siksa, because it's for the devotee Madhyam Adhikari who is already qualified for Ragamarg. But there's like a micro kram. Not throughout, but the relationship between some of the verses. Very fine relationship between them. So, this has been brought out by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary, which is called the Bhajan Darpana Vritti. The commentary, which is the mirror, like a mirror that shows us how to do bhajan. So, let's look at the connection between some of the verses. Asadvata Vesha Visridya. Give up mundane talk. This is a very gross anartha. So in this stage, there may be a little tendency to speak or hear. And it's very dangerous for bhajan to hear mundane talk. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself told to Raghunath Das Goswami, Gramya kata na koibe, gramya vata na shunibe. Don't speak the village talk. What's happening in the village? And don't listen to it either. Because it steals your power of concentration. Don't speak about or hear, about mukti. And also give up attachment to all the types of worship which have Aishwarya, moods of Aishwarya. So, these things must be all neglected, given up. They are more gross, then more subtle. Here, he's saying that in verse 5, Asatchasta kasta pada vikadapa shalibriha, that lust, anger, greed, pride, bewilderment, and envy. These are like highway robbers that are waiting to jump and take you away. So here, he's not in a stage where actually he's doing any wrong activities. Only when you try to detach from the world and do bhajan, but there will be some disturbance in your mind. Perhaps you know, in the Bible, there's a very wonderful history of when Jesus went into the wilderness and fasted for 40 days. But what happened then? After fasting for a long time and practically giving the example of a person giving up bodily consciousness completely, then he saw Satan. So some commentators have said that it means the voice of the flesh was speaking to him and trying to bring him back out into the world. Like this. So every devotee will have to go through this. Another saint, Saint John, he called it the dark night of the soul. There's a stage where, leaving the entanglement in the worldly activities, one is turning towards God. But internally, the temptations are coming in the mind very strongly. And you cannot save yourself. Anyone has not the power to resist the force of Maya, illusion, which is coming inside. And so here, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, just call out to the great devotees, to your Gurudev, your Param Gurudev, to Rupa Goswami, Swarup Damodar. Remember them, how they live their life in a state of complete purity. Actually, in Jagannath Puri, Mahaprabhu is living there and coming together as we are every day, singing bhajans, having Harikatha. But everything, Mahaprabhu himself, his associates, and everything that they do and say and the Dham they're staying in is Vishuddha Sattva. There's no touch of the material world or the material energy in their lila. So just remembering Mahaprabhu and his associates illuminates the heart and frees us from the darkness of the shadows of Maya and the shadows of previously performed sinful activities and so on. So then there's a progression from the 5th verse to the 6th verse. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is joining them together with a thread of ideas. And that is that he's saying the unspoken lines in between the verse. Oh my dear mind, you may have given up this infatuation or the internal dwelling upon any sinful activities or sense gratification. You've overcome that. You've overcome that internal disturbance. But still, duplicity is lingering inside. So it's a stage a little further. So you can see in what stage you are in. With your mind, when you are chanting, if you come to a place like this, you cannot become in a stage of distraction, always going out. You have to face yourself. Many people live their whole life never looking at themselves, always busy with their nose in what everyone is doing. Their family members and all things. So it's a big shock when they come to an ashram, a place of introspection. And it's very shocking to have to face themselves. Who am I? So when a person begins to become introspective, then they'll experience the attack of so many thoughts coming from lust, anger, greed, and so on. And the last one is envy. A person even, they may think, I am not lusty, I am not angry, I am not greedy. But if there's some envy towards another devotee inside, then it should be known that you have all bad qualities. All bad qualities are there. Because the envy is the pinnacle of the development of all the bad qualities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has taken the verse of Bhagavad Gita. Jayato vishan pungsam sangasteshu pujayate sangat sanjayate kama kama krodha vijayate. Kamat bhavati samoha samohat smriti vibhrama smriti brahmsad buddhinaso buddhinaso pranasriti. That if a person, they meditate on sense objects, then what happens? They become attached to them. And then this attachment turns to lust. And when the lust is more intense and it's not fulfilled, it turns to anger. So, kamat krodha vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha. Krodha turns to sammoha, bewilderment. Samhat sviti vibhrama, and then forgetfulness. So this means moha and lobh, greed and forgetfulness that I am not this body. Smriti vibhrama, smriti brahmsad buddhi nasho. And when the intelligence is when memory is lost, then the intelligence is destroyed. So there is a pride, bewilderment gradually. So the 6 enemies are described here by Krishna one by one. And finally the last one is envy. And when envy is in the heart, then you go down. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that each one of these, Krodh, Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, each one is the development of the previous one. So if any enmity is there, you feel enmity towards another devotee, then you should know that all of the other bad qualities are there, but in a latent position. And they'll come out when they're given the ideal environment to manifest. So, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, when these enemies come, cry out to your Gurujan, to the Acharyas, and their mercy will save you. As you go on doing bhajan, you find that you're not disturbed by these things anymore. Then the next verse becomes especially relevant. Duplicity. That duplicity is the imagination. I am pure. Even though one has not become perfect in entering into the service of Radha and Krishna, but because, relatively speaking to others in the world, you have become free from these lower disturbances, now you can think, I am very advanced. So this is duplicity. And Raghunath Das Goswami said, instead of bathing in the urine of a donkey of duplicity, just let's both of us, my dear mind, you and I, we should just take bath in the ocean of nectar of remembering the service of Radha and Krishna. Now we come to today's verse. Pratista sadrista swapacharamini me vidinatet katam sadhu premnas prashasti suchiretam nanumana sadatam sevasya Prabhu daita samantamatalam yathatam niskasya taritam yatam veshayatisa. Oh my dear mind, how will pure Prem touch me if one dog-eating, unprincipled prostitute is dancing in my heart? Prem will not come anywhere near. Who is that dog-eating prostitute? She is Pratisthasha, the desire to be respected by others. So the connection between this and the previous verse is that the reason, though one has become free from internal mental disturbances, the reason duplicity remains is, behind every great man there's a woman, it said. So behind this duplicity there is the prostitute of the desire for reputation, name and fame, to be honored in society. And this is why the duplicity won't go away. So first of all, the devotee, he should recognize, I have duplicity. And this duplicity is engaging me in the external activities at the expense of my bhajan. And this duplicity is there because of the desire for pratishtha, the desire to be honored. The two go together. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Kanaka Kamini Pratishtha Bhagini Chariyachi Saito Vaisnava Say Anasakta Say Shuddha Bhakta Tata Paya Maya Parabhav. It's a song called Dushtaman Tumi Kishara Vaishnav. Oh my wicked mind, what kind of devotee are you? So in one verse he said, the desires for money, to associate with the opposite sex, and here the desire for pratishtha we're discussing, they're like a bhagini, a tigress. Because the female tigress is very busy, she has to go out and kill, and then bring the food back for the cubs. So pratishtha is like this. In order to become perfect in bhajan, one will have to spend a considerable amount of time chanting the holy names and really going deep inside. However, the desire for pratishtha will not let you dedicate yourself in this way, because the desire for pratishtha will send you, be like a female tigress, wanting to go out to get food and feed the cubs. That means all your followers. That means to make more and more followers, and you have to spend so much time feeding them that you cannot do bhajan. This is not necessary. If a Vaishnava is really doing bhajan, then by doing bhajan they are feeding the followers. Because by the power of their bhajan their mercy is going. And by their example their followers are seeing, I want to also be like this. But due to duplicity, which is there based on pratishtha asha, then excuse will come. That excuse is, the sampradaya is not strong, we have to expand the sampradaya. So Srila Rupa Goswami has said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the sadhak should not can have disciples, but not so many. And he should not have the excuse, oh, I have to expand the sampradaya. He should not use this as an excuse to disobey the anger of bhakti, of not making many unqualified disciples. Actually, those who are qualified to do bhajan, who are serious about this, they are very few. They are very few. So, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is teaching us to look within and see our own faults, to identify our duplicity and worldly ambition. Now, pratishtha, it cannot be given up. Anyone has no power to give it up, because as we mentioned yesterday, it is the fine essence of Maya. The living entity is seeing the world, but what is this world? Idami vishvam bhagavani vetaro yato jarakstana niroda samava taddiswangs veda pradangstatapite pradeshamatam bhavata padashitam. Narad Muni told Vyasadeva in the beginning of Vyasadeva, oh, this world It's non-different from God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna saw it in chapter 11. Krishna showed the universal form. And he saw that this universe, this is one form, this is Virat Rup, one form of God also. And at the same time, is also living entities are here, undergoing their life. So both visions are there. The Uttam Adhikari, the highest level of devotee, only sees everyone is, all souls exist within Krishna, and Krishna is within all souls. They have no one to preach to because they think everyone is serving God except for me. So, to go into the level of Uttam Adhikari, that vision is there. But, what holds one back from going into that consciousness? When one does not see the presence of God everywhere. Not seeing the presence of God everywhere, then one thinks, oh, all should respect me. But when one sees the presence of God everywhere, then who will give respect to whom? Only God is everywhere. And all are His servants. You see? And so that desire for Pratishtha to be respected by others is the finest manifestation of Maya in the consciousness of the Jiva. Maya is defined as the non-perception of that which is real. Maya, not that. Maya, Ma means not. Ya means this, it is not this. So though God is everywhere, we don't see. This is Maya. And Pratishtha is the last obstacle. So the Jiva has no power to give this up by himself. So Srila Raghunatha Swami is giving the prescribed method here. Sada tvam sevasva prabhudaita samantam atalam. Oh my dear mind, always serve the devotees, the pure devotees, who are the incomparable commanders of the army of Krishna. Krishna sends his associates into this world. Krishna Shakti Bina Nahi Tara Prabhatan. One cannot spread the holy name everywhere without being empowered by Krishna. So devotees like our Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, my Gurudev, they are the Samantam Atulam, the incomparable commanders of Krishna's army manifested in this world, for spreading Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy through the chanting of the holy name. And not only spreading the Yuga Dharma, but their intention is when the living entities become more qualified, that they will really deeply enter into the internal rahasya, the confidential the side of our sampradaya. So, Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, serve those great devotees. Serve them personally. And especially do Mano Bhishta Seva. Serve their innermost heart's desire. And by always considering yourself a servant of the great devotees, then you will be saved. Rather, by their mercy, those great Vaishnavas, they will come and they will throw that dog-eating prostitute out of your heart. They will expel her. You have no power to do it. But if you can serve them, they have the power and they will do it. So, try to honor all the Vaishnava etiquette and Maryada. We see today this is very lacking, often in Vaishnava society. Devotees come, oh, we're going to sing Bhajans, okay. They sit down and then they just sing Radhe 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 or whatever. They don't give Jai, Jai Shishi Guru Varanga. They don't do Bandana, Vandeham, Shi Guru, and pray to each one of their acharyas. And then don't start with the Kirtan to Guru, and then Vaishnav, and then Gauranga, and then in the end Radha and Krishna. These are dangerous points. because it means that the consciousness is there, or rather the consciousness is absent, that everything that I am doing is a service to my Gurujan under their guidance and by their mercy, without any independence at all. You can see, if a devotee, oh, Prabhu, can you speak something? And they just speak. They are not considering I am the servant of my acharyas. First, if they'll fold their hands and bow their head and pray, Om Jnana Timarandasya, some prayer to the Gurudev, and then speak. These are the Vaishnava etiquettes. At first we may not understand, or we may just imitate. We see others do it and we do it out of it. But later we'll understand the relevance and importance to this in our spiritual life. Without that deep connection and the mood of das, anudas, anudas, to the great Vaishnavas, who are the commanders of the Krishna's army, who have appeared in this world, then this last obstacle to our bhajan, it will not go. After hundreds and thousands of attempts. So, I want to speak something now about the essence of this Manah-siksa, the mood. We want to mix our heart completely with the heart of Gurudev, with the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami, and all are following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming to this world and he's doing lila as Guru, he's doing lila as Acharya. So yesterday we spoke about the Vishad, the dejection, and Mahaprabhu's speaking a metaphor about his own disposition, that my mind has become a Kapalika yogi. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains his internal mood, Mahaprabhu is speaking a Sanskrit verse. And so though the explanation is quite long, everything is there in this one Sanskrit verse. Prapta pranasta chuta vitta atma yayo vishad ojita deha geha grihita kapalika dama kome brindavanam sendriya sishya brinda. So this verse is an astonishing picture of the disposition, the attitude of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When you think of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then you may see the deity of Mahaprabhu, like this, or whatever, whichever type of deity of Mahaprabhu you have. That is the roop of Mahaprabhu. But especially this verse describes the Swarup. Only to think of Mahaprabhu like this, it's good, but go deeper. And how does he feel inside? So he's saying, Prapta pranasat chutavita atma. Prapta means achieved, and pranasta means lost. Achyuta is Krishna, and Vitta means wealth. Atma here means mind. So the first line, Prapta pranastyuta vitatma, my mind attained Krishna and then lost him. That Krishna is my only wealth. So just like a person who was very poor and they find a valuable jewel, but then they lose it, they become completely vishad. Vishad is the despondent, overwhelmed by lamentation. and feelings of separation from their wealth. So here the wealth is Krishna. So we described yesterday how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Jagannath but saw Shyama Sundar playing a flute in Vrindavan. But then that vision disappeared. And now this verse is coming. Praptapanastatu vitatma. And having lost that wealth, yayo vishadojita, deha geha, my mind being completely despondent, discouraged and depressed. Ujita means gave up. Deha geha, the house of my body. The mind, the Atma here is living in the body, but now he's completely given it up, being very, very sad, having lost his wealth. Grihita Kapalika Dham kame, and the heart has become like the Kapalika yogi, the extreme renunciate, who is completely indifferent to the world. So last night I said that the Vishad is the first of the century bhavs. Actually the first is Nirved and the second is Vishad. But they're very, very closely related. They're very closely related. Nirved is indifference to everything. And in which there is a great self-criticism. Just like Raghunath Swami said, he used to speak Nirved Vachana. Before he would eat something, he would criticize himself. And so it's a type of disinterest in everything that's happening in the world, due to seeing your own faults and criticizing yourself. Before he would eat, he did not necessarily always say Mahaprasade Govinde, but one verse he used to say, Atmanam chet vijaniyat param jnanam dutao shabha kim icha kashavaheto deham pushnati lampataha. It's a verse from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I think 7, 15, 40. So he's saying, if my consciousness has actually been cleansed by transcendental knowledge that I am not this body, then for what desire and for what cause am I trying to nourish this body like a debauchee, like a lampart? And he would credit this, called Nirved Vachan. So it's an extreme detachment from the world, but it's coming from the disappointment, the failure to discharge one's duties properly, and self-criticism. So I want to give you the Bhakti Samhita Sindhu. So because this emotion, the Nirved and the Vishad, which are the first 2 Sanchari Bhavs, they are very central to the Swarup in which Mahaprabhu is doing bhajan. And you see that this is really the essence of Manah-siksa. If you read Manah-siksa and you don't feel Raghunath Das Goswami's Nirved, Raghunath Das Goswami's Vishad, and how he's learnt this from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he said, accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as your Bhajan Shiksha Guru, then you have not really read Manah-siksa. That bhav, that feeling should be emanating from Manah-siksa when you read it. So, the bhav, here we are, Vyavachari bhav. Of course, in the stage of the sadhak, these 2 emotions, Vishad, Nirved and Vishad, they are not actually Santri Bhavs yet, because he's not in that stage. For Mahaprabhu they are. But in the sadhak, by hearing about them, you can get some idea. It will be something a little less than that, but moving in that direction. So, the first Santri Bhav is Nirved. Maharti viprayogersha sadvivekadi kalpitam. Nirved means a self-disgust. So we see Raghunath Goswami, he's looking at his own mind. He's looking at his own lust, anger, greed, duplicity and desire for reputation. His introspection and seeing his own faults. So this is Nirved, self-disgust. And this self-disgust is arising from several things. From great sorrow, from separation, from worrying about what should be done and what should not be done, or from the failure to do what should be done. Like Srila Haridas Thakur, when he was old, when he was very, very old, he could not complete his vow to chant 192 rounds every day, 3 lakhs. And so he would become disgusted with himself, thinking, I have not done what should be done. So see, what is the level of your sadhana? And what the level should be. And then look at yourself and think, I have not done what should be done. This is a Nirved. This is what Raghunath Das Goswami is speaking. Throughout Manah-siksa, he's trying to persuade his mind to cooperate with him and do the things that he's not done. So, in this state of Nirved, there is a chinta, anxiety, tears, the dainya, the feeling that you have no qualities, is dainya, and sighing. Sighing. These are the anubhavs for those on the high level. So, Rupa Goswami is giving some examples of Nirved, which are coming from these different causes. So the first example he gives is Nanda Maharaj is speaking to Yashoda. Oh Yashoda, what is to be gained from continuing to maintain this sinful and unfortunate body? Come, let's together immediately offer our bodies into the poisonous lake of Kaliya. So when Krishna was in the grip of Kaliya, then Nanda shows, why are we alive like this? So here is the criticism of oneself, arising from great sorrow and from separation. This is, from great sorrow. The next example is from separation. So here one devotee of Vrindavan, one coward boy, is saying, without the presence of springtime, Vrindavan has become withered. It is without the charm and devoid of flowers. So how does this bee continue to live? So this has a double meaning. Without springtime, he means without Madhav, Krishna. And how does Supal Drirei Paha means, this strong bee means Subal. How does Subal continue to live? Mahaprabhu also used to manifest this Nirved by saying, Na prema gandosti dumaka. I have no love at all.
Ich habe überhaupt keine Liebe, sagt
He's speaking in the mood of Radharani.
spricht in
I have no love at all. Why?
Ich habe keine Liebe,
Because I'm still alive.
weil ich
If I had any love for Krishna, now he's left me, I would die at once.
würde ich sofort sterben.
So this is Nirvaid coming from separation.
Mir wehe aus Trennungsschmerz.
Nirvaid can come from anger,
Kann auch aus Zorn kommen,
but not in the sadhak, in the high stage.
aber ganz vor.
The example is Satyabhama is saying to Krishna,
Satyabhama sagt zu Krishna,
Oh, Krishna,
oh Krishna,
if you can stand here and listen to Narad glorifying the Rukmini, then whose misfortune can be equal to mine?
welches Unglück, das könnte mit mir allein verglichen werden.
Now, Nirvaid can also come from Vivek. Vivek means discrimination about tattva, about reality. So this is applicable also for the sadhak, the practicing devotee. Here devotee is saying, Alas, I've wasted all my time. O unconquerable Supreme Lord, becoming more and more intoxicated by my wealth and opulence as a king, I misidentified the physical body as myself and became attached to family members and my money and my land, and due to this I suffered endless anxiety. So then Rupa Goswami makes the comment we mentioned yesterday, that Bharat Muni has mentioned that Nirvaid, or the self-criticism that comes from separation, from discrimination, from sorrow, that this is mentioned as the first Vyabhachari Bhav because it has a special situation of being the Sthayi Bhav of Shantarasa. It's the Sthayi Bhav of Shantarasa. So, whatever rasa devotee is in, if you're in any of the higher rasas, but the ingredients of the lower rasas are present. Yeah? So the two ingredients of Shantaras, which are present in Dasya and Sakya and so on, are Trishna Tyag, giving up a thirst for anything other than Krishna, detachment from the world, and Krishna Nishta, being fixed in remembrance of Krishna. So even though we don't want to be in Shantarasa, but these two emotional components of Shantarasa will be there in any of the other moods. So now that is the discussion of Nirvaid, the self-criticism and the indifference to everything going on in the world, which is arising from sorrow, from separation, and so on. Now we come to Vishad. Vishad means the despondency, the despair, or the depression, which comes from the failure to attain your desired goal. So this Vishad is very prominent in Raganuga Bhakti, because the devotee eagerly wants to attain Krishna, but is in a state of failure. They have not attained yet, because they're doing sadhana to attain. So the remorse or despair arising from the failure to attain your desired object, from the failure to accomplish a task, from the occurrence of a disaster, or the despondency that comes after committing an offense. So it's a kind of anutap or a regret. I have made so many offenses. Hari, Hari, bifole janama goinu. So in this phrase, oh Krishna, I have wasted my life, then you see Nirveda and Vishad are both active here. First, in Nirveda there is self-criticism arising from Vivek, the discrimination that I realize now I've wasted my time. You see? And at the same time, there's the element of Vishad, that is the lamentation, I have not attained my goal. So this Vishad and the Nirveda, they come together. It's difficult to imagine that them coming one at a time actually. They come together, they're very closely related. So in this state, there is chinta, worrying. So that was also there in Vishad, one of the symptoms of Vishad. There is a search for a means of accomplishing your goal and looking for assistance. Who can help me? We were discussing about the gopis, how they were praying to all the different demigods. And then finally Brinda Devi came. And she helped them discover a way how to fulfill their desire to attain Krishna. So, searching for assistance. Heavy breathing, sighing. So many of the change of color, many of the external symptoms are just like the Nirveda. So Nirveda and Visada, they often go together. So Rupa Goswami is giving an example. One devotee said, today in a dream, I was picking flowers very carefully, and I made a garland out of them, and then I was going to give them to Krishna, but then I woke up. And so that is the Vishad, the despondency which has arisen out of the failure to accomplish an action. And so we see in this verse that is painting the picture of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's internal mood. It's saying, Vishado Jita. His heart has just given up hope on everything, out of Vishad. And that was, he was seeing Krishna, and then the spurti broke, and then he had no chance to render services. The failure to accomplish an action. Then, the remorse that comes from committing an offense. One devotee is praying. Oh, it's Lord Brahma actually. Oh my Lord, just see my uncivilized impudence. In order to test your power, I tried to extend my illusory potency to cover you, the unlimited primeval supersoul, who can even bewilder all the masters of illusion. So, what am I compared to you? I am just a small spark in the presence of a great fire. So this is Vishad. That you can detect the example in the verse we told yesterday of Uddhav. Where are the gopis and where am I? Their love is so high. So we can understand that Uddhav is speaking this verse in Vishad. The Sanchari Bhava Vishad is coming. Another example of Vishad, the despondency that comes after committing an offense, is Akrura. He was involved in the intrigue over the Shamantaka jewel with Shatrajit. So he's saying, Akrura said, having stolen the Shamantaka jewel, now I have fallen into the mouth of a terrible hell. I have fallen into the Vaitarani river. And what boat should I use to cross it? How will I be able to come out of this situation? So Ukrura was lamenting for his offense. So at that time, he had to run away from Dwarka. He had to run away from Krishna. He was so afraid at that time. And the acharyas have said that the reason he got into this situation was because gopis cursed him when he took Krishna away from the chariot. Like this. So actually Krura is a pure devotee and eternal associate of Krishna. So it's not really aparad. It's like an abhas of aparad which is coming in the flow of the lila. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has taught this Vishad and Nirved in the second verse of Shikshastakam. Duradaiva midvishamiha janinad raga. The Nirved, criticizing, my Lord, you are so kind that you allow us to approach you through the chanting of the holy name. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attachment for chanting. Why? Because I have committed offense. So recognizing and regretting one's own offenses and criticizing oneself, this is the Vishad and Nirved, which is essential in bhajan. And so these are the underlying sentiments of the verses of Manah-siksa. And Raghunath Das Goswami has learned from Rupa Goswami, and especially he lived in Puri with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was performing his lila as the acharya, as guru. And in Manah-siksa, Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, Sachisunam Nandishwarapati Sutattvai Guru Baram. Accept Mahaprabhu as your bhajan shiksha guru. So, here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is giving us this beautiful verse, revealing his inner consciousness. In English, this word Nirved and Vishad together, they're included in the word contrition. Contrition. Contrition means to criticize yourself and to lament over your own faults. It's called contrition. So it's a very wonderful thing that Krishna, in his infinite wisdom, he has hidden the treasure of Prem in the chest of contrition, the place where proud and arrogant persons will never look for it. You see, a proud person, an arrogant person, the last emotion that they will feel is that self-criticism and lamentation about their own, the absence of qualification. And so, Durdaiva Midrishan Miha Janinanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena. Think yourself to be more worthless than a blade of grass. In Shikshastakam, Mahaprabhu is giving these instructions. Why? Because when one will go deeply and be immersed and chant in that mood, then the Prem will awake. One will discover the treasure of Prem. Very wonderful. So, this is our verse for today. It is your portrait. Consider this to be a portrait of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in your heart.
Can you give the number?
Yes, it's it's text 41, but I can't see which chapter it is on this, because it's not a book. I can't flip to the beginning and find out which chapter it is. So I guess
maybe Antya Lila, huh?
Yes, I think it's Antya Lila, text 41, in one of the chapters of Antya Lila. I'll look later.
Antya Lila, just before Shikshastakam,
it's right before the Shikshastakam, is it? Well, Shikshastakam is 20, so it may be 19.
Qualities of
so
14 or 15 chapter.
Consider this verse to be a portrait of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You see, when Nimai Pandit came back from Gaya after his initiation, he told some devotees he met, meet me tomorrow morning in the house of Suklamba Brahmachari. So all the devotees assembled there, and they were doing kirtan. And finally Nimai Pandit arrived, and it was for many of them the first time they were seeing him after his initiation. And what happened? He looked at the Vaishnavas, he saw their tilak and their tulsi malas, and he remembered Krishna. He began to cry. He said, "Oh, for a moment I found my Lord, and then I lost him." And he was overwhelmed in separation, crying, "Krishna, Krishna." And he leaned against there was like this outside Shiva's Thakur's house, Shuklan Brahmacharya's house with the post. And in his ecstasy he stumbled and leaned against the post, and the post broke and he fell on the ground. And devotees were chanting Krishna Nama. All were weeping in love. And Mahaprabhu, he fell unconscious. Then when he came back to sense, he could hear someone crying in the house. And he got up and he walked and opened and looked and saw Gadadhar Pandit was there, with his face in his hands weeping. Because he just couldn't believe it, that this arrogant scholar, Nimai Pandit, had become a Vaishnava. And because he wanted it so much that Nimai would be a real devotee. And now from a hiding place he had seen his behavior. He understood, now Nimai is really a Vaishnava. What? Because he's feeling the Nirved and the Vishad. And then Mahaprabhu, he took the hands of Gadadhar Pandit in his hands, and he said, "I wasted my whole life." This is Vishad. Oh, sorry, this is Nirved arising from Vivek. Yeah? I wasted my whole life, but you are so fortunate. Because from the beginning of your life you were a devotee. Nimai Pandit was a scholar. He was into Sanskrit grammar and arguing over verbal roots and everything. He was into Nyay, Navyan Nyay, juggling with different types of logic and so on. So he said, "I wasted my life, but you are so lucky. Please help me find Krishna." This is one of the symptoms of Vishad. Searching for someone who can help you find the goal that you have not attained. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he's showing us the path of bhakti. So if he's like this in Navadvip, lila, in the beginning of his lila as a devotee, then how is Mahaprabhu in the Gambhira? So consider that this verse is a portrait. Though it's spoken at the time when he's in Puri and staying in the Gambhira, but it also applies, because I've given the example of the very beginning of his devotional career in Navadvip. It applies in both places, though it was only spoken in this Gambhira Lila here in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So you can consider it a portrait of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. When you think of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, think of this verse. Either as the Nadia Vihari, Mahaprabhu relishing kirtan with his associates in Navadvip, or Mahaprabhu sitting in the Gambhira with Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, relishing the verses of Bhagavatam, of Gita Govinda, of Krishna Karnamrita. And how does he feel? Prapta. Prapta, you can, if you're taking notes you can write. Prapta means achieved. Pranashta means then lost. What was achieved and then lost? Achyuta, Krishna. And he is Achyuta Vitta, my only treasure. Vitta means treasure. Prapta Pranashta Achyuta Vitta. Atma. Atma means my soul. Or it can mean soul, it can mean mind. So Prapta Pranashta Achyuta Vitta Atma. Yayo. My mind went. Yayo means went. Vishada. Due to Vishad, this despondency. Ujita. Deha Geha. My soul gave up. The Deha Geha. Deha means body and Geha means house. my soul gave up the house of my body. And what did he do? The third line. Grihita, he accepted. Kapalika Dhamma me. Means accepted the life of a Kapalik yogi. This extreme tantric yogi who carries a skull. And what did he do? Grihita Kapalika Dhamma me. Then the next line, Brindavanam. Sendriya, Shishya Brinda. He went Brindavanam to Brindavan. Sendriya, with my senses, who are Shishya Brinda, his 10 disciples, that he sends out to do bhiksha and bring back some remnant of Krishna's Nam, Rupa, Gula and Lila, in order to keep me alive. So this is the verse. It's chapter 14. You know for sure? Okay, Antya Lila chapter 14, text 41. Oh, that's easy to remember. 14, 41. 1, 4, 4, 1. So then Mahaprabhu said, I lost my jewel. Where is Lord Hari? Shuno Banda Krishnera Madhuri. Oh my dear friends, Swab Damodar and Roy Ramananda, please hear about Krishna's sweetness. Because of my great desire, unfulfilled desire for that sweetness, my mind has abandoned all social and religious principles and become a beggar. The ring of Krishna's Rasalila, which was made by the master craftsman Shukadev Goswami, is as pure as a conch shell. It said the conch shell is always pure.
It's Praman for Shukadev Goswami, or it can be.
Yes, yeah. Yes, another Praman for the greatness of Shukadev Goswami. So the yogi of my mind, the Kapalik yogi, is wearing that earring upon his ear. He has taken a gourd, like a pumpkin, and carved it out. And that is his begging bowl. So that is called, the squash is called lao. It is called Trishna lao. Trishna lao. The begging bowl of my aspirations. And he's carrying an old juli, an old bag on his shoulder. And that is the Asha juli, the bag of the aspirations. So Trishna lao and Asha juli. These are the ornaments of the Kapalik yogi of Mahaprabhu's heart. Chinta Kanta, he's wearing the torn cloth, an old torn cloth covering his body of Chinta, anxiety. Ha ha Krishna Pralapa Uttara. He's always calling out, alas, alas Krishna. His body is dirty and smeared with dust and ashes. And he's wearing 12 bangles. These are called the Udvega Dwadash Hate. 12 bangles of Udveg. Udveg is distress. Udveg is also one of the century buffs. Yeah. 12 bangles of distress he's wearing. And also he has a turban. He's wearing on his head, that is called Lober Julani, the turban of greed. And because Bhiksha Abhav, in the absence of getting, no one's giving in any alms, so he's become skinny. Then he said, the great yogi of my mind always studies the poetry of the Srimad Bhagavatam, revealed by great saints like Vyasadeva and Shukadev Goswami. The mystic yogi of my mind has assumed the name Mahabal. Yeah, the Baal. Baal means a madman. He's Mahabal. And that yogi, Mahabal, he made disciples of my 10 senses. In this way my mind has gone to Vrindavan, leaving the home of my body and leaving the wealth of material enjoyment. When the Vishad and the Nirved is there, actually the feelings of sense gratification, they cannot come. They're incompatible with... Yes. Yeah.
It's like utkant, it's like an intensity which is
Yes.
expressed.
The turban of greed, the cloth of anxiety, the bangles of distress, covered in dirt, completely skinny, the bowl of Trishna, thirst, the Julie of Asha. This is like an Ekadas Bhav. it's like the Swarup of his Bhav. But of course your Swarup is made of Bhav. But
seems that
so this is the portrait. When you think of Mahaprabhu, really this is the portrait of how he's doing bhajan and how he becomes our bhajan shiksha guru.
This Nirvana and Vishesh seems like symptoms of very high separation, so they can be some Sharibhava of Shantaras. Looks very like
Yes, yes. Nirved is the Staibhav of the Santarasa.
but it seems so much like high separation.
Because a yogi, like a Kapalik yogi, is actually like in Shantaras. But in this analogy, he is actually a bhakta of Radha and Krishna. But in general, the Kapalik yogis, they're not even devotees. He's just giving this analogy to show the kind of emaciation of the spirit that comes at the time of separation and intense hankering.
But this is in Srimati Radhika when she's feeling so much separation, those Nirvad and Vishad.
We have Rupa Goswami here, he gave examples of different types of Lord Brahmas having Vishad, Nanda and Yashoda having Nirved. These essentially bhavs can be experienced by anyone in any rasa. So, oh yes, so we were just saying, Mahabal made 10 disciples, my 10 senses, and thus he is gone to Vrindavan, leaving the home of my body and the treasure of enjoyment. In Vrindavan, Mahabal goes door to door begging alms with all of his disciples. But he is so desperate that he's begging from both the moving and the non-moving beings. He begs from humans, he even begs from the trees and from the creepers. So that was one of the symptoms of Vishad, to just take help from anyone, to search for some help from anyone who can help. And in this way, he maintains his life, living on fruits, roots and leaves. Phala Mula Patrasan. So he's also vegan. So, then Mahaprabhu said, the gopis of Vrindavan, they always taste the nectar of Krishna's qualities, his beauty, his sweetness, his aroma, the sound of his flute, the touch of his body. So my mind's 5 disciples, the 5 senses of perception, the Gyanindriyas, they go and they gather the remnants of that nectar from the gopis and they bring them to the yogi of my mind. In other words, in Srimad Bhagavatam, the glories of gopis, how they relish, like Venu Gita, Gopi Gita and so on, describes how the gopis are relishing Krishna's qualities. And his senses, they are taking the remnants of the gopis by relishing these verses. And this way I maintain my life. there is a solitary garden,
Einsamer Garten.
a kunja, a solitary kunj, and there is a manda, one
Und eine
canopy there.
gibt's so.
And in the corner of that pavilion, in that garden, that
So ein
kunj,
Pavillon in einer Ecke von
the
dem
yogi of my mind,
ist der
he
Yogi
sits
an
with his
einem
disciples
Sitz nun mit seinen Schülern
and he practices mystic yoga.
und praktiziert mystische
He
Yoga.
does yoga abhyas.
Er übt Yoga.
Wanting to see Krishna directly,
Er möchte Krishna direkt sehen.
the yogi of my mind remains awake throughout the night,
Bleibt die ganze Nacht wach,
meditating on Krishna,
meditiert über Krishna.
who is the Atma, the Paramatma of all existence,
Der die höchste Seele von aller
who is
Existenz,
Niranjan,
der Niranja,
untouched by the material modes.
der ist nicht berührt von den materiellen Erscheinungen.
It's an interesting example, because in Braj,
Beispiel in Vrindavan,
in Braj, Krishna is only known as the son of Nanda Maharaj.
ist nur der Sohn von Ananda.
But the sadhak in this world
Aber der
knows that Krishna is the soul of all souls.
Krishna die Seele aller Seelen.
And so he's giving the example of a yogi meditating on Paramatma.
Der übt Paramatma.
So he said here, Krishna Atma Niranjan. Just as the yogi meditates, O Paramatma, the soul of my soul, he is beyond all the gunas. He's Niranjan. So similarly, he's saying the yogi of my mind is sitting and remembering that Krishna, who is the soul of my soul and beyond all the gunas. So outwardly the knowledge of Krishna's opulence is it's always there.
Wissen über Krishna
It's
ist seine Opulence.
only from the perspective of Siddhadeha
Nur aus dem
that is
spirituellen Körper
that is relinquished.
zu dessen abgewendet.
So then Mahaprabhu said,
Сидидехи, ты забываешь о том, что он Всевышний.
when my mind lost the association of Krishna and could no longer see him,
Und ihn nicht mehr länger sehen kann,
then he became depressed
dann wurde völlig verzweifelt.
and took up, therefore abandoned the world and took up mystic yoga.
Welt verlassen und hat einen mystischen Yoga gemacht.
In the void of separation from Krishna,
In der Leere von der Trennung zu Krishna.
then Viyoge Dasha Dasha Hoy, he experienced the 10th stage,
Die 10. Stufe.
the Dasa Dasha, the 10th condition. It's like when someone has a disease, it said the disease goes through 10 conditions. And the 10th condition is the one that happens just before you die.
Und 10. Stufe ist gerade bevor der Tod steht.
So he's speaking about the extent of his separation. It's as if he's just about to give up his life. So agitated by this, my mind fled my body. And thus, the place of residence, this body, is empty. And now I am completely in samadhi,
Jetzt bin ich
completely in trance.
in Trance.
Krishna Ravi Yoga Gopi Dasha Dasha Hoy. Say Dasha Dasha Hoya Prabhura Uday. When the gopis felt separation from Krishna, they
Schmerz von Krishna hat.
went through the 10 stages
Sind sie durch die 10 Stufen durchgegangen.
into the 10th condition,
Die 10.
Dasha Dasha.
Dasha, Dasha.
So Mahaprabhu also went through all of these stages.
So ist genauso Chaitanya Mahaprabhu durch diese Trennungsschmerzstufen durchgegangen.
So the stages are Chinta, anxiety,
Zuerst Sorge haben.
Jagara, wakefulness, the inability to sleep, Udveg, mental agitation,
Mentale Agitation.
Tanavan, becoming skinny,
Ganz dünn werden.
Malinangata, not cleaning the body.
Kannst den Körper nicht mehr
So we see that this Kapalika yogi is dirty and covered in ashes.
schmutzig.
It's one of the symptoms of the 10 development stages of separation. Pralap, talking like a madman. Vyadi, disease. Unmad, like insanity. Moha, bewilderment. And then Mrityu, death. Death is the last stage. But as an ecstasy Mrityu, this death is not actually death. Once a devotee came to my Gurudev was sitting and chanting in Navadu. And he was very absorbed. And one devotee had been reading about the 10 stages of separation and said, Gurudev, I read that the 10th separation is death. And the gopis come in that stage. But in the spiritual world no one dies. So how can it be? What does it mean, Mrityu, the 10th stage of separation is death? Does it really mean death? And Gurudev, his eyes were half closed and he was chanting. He said, it's much worse than death. Death would be actually a relief. Yes. So, in this way, we have covered the verses of Manah-siksa, which go through the nirved, the self-criticism, and so on. And then after this will come the verses which positively express what type of sambandha, relationship, one's soul should have towards Radha and Krishna and to the gopis and to Govardhan and Radhakund and so on. And then the absorption in the glories of Radharani and so on. So those, the positive side. Of course it's all positive. But what we mean is, rather than looking at the Nivriti Atmaka Chastarupa, the attempt to give up the lower qualities and overcome our limitations by seeking the mercy of the great devotees, then a positive meditation, the Pravriti Atmaka Chastarupa, striving for the positive, it will come in the next verses. So we'll complete that aspect of Manah-siksa tomorrow morning. So this evening we'll continue with the Vasaharandi. Gaur Premanande. So, are there any questions? Today I feel some satisfaction that we are looking at the real heart of Manah-siksa and what it means to accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Bhajans Shiksha Guru. So keep this treasure always with you, and your spiritual life will become successful. So are there any questions? Yes.
It is from last night, but maybe linked with today's lecture. At the end of the class yesterday, we were chanting Hare Krishna, and we say, now you think you are young. So I was thinking, how can we have this kind of meditation? How can we reconcile with the fact that, of course, we're not aspiring to be gopi, and then because also
We're not aspiring to be gopi.
Speak for yourself.
Who's we?
in Manjari, I think Manjari and gopi.
There are little younger girls there also.
So there
As
are
young as long, even some of them were 3 years old. Because I mentioned, not yesterday, the day before, each day of the Katyani Vrata, they were increasing the paraphernalia for the puja. And so the maidservants of the gopis were coming along with them also. There are maidservants there also. And so when Radhika, on the last day when Radhika and Sakis will come, their maidservants will also come. So it was not only older ones, even very young, about 3 years old, were there also. Because when gopis, we'll discuss this, when they come out the water, they use the young ones to hide them, to cover themselves, like a shield. So Krishna can't see them. Yes, Prabhu.
We are hearing this Asrarana lila. Krishna stealing the cloth, so the gopis want to get married. But before that lila, there was the Brahma Vimohana lila, and in that lila, Krishna was married to all the Krishna's the Gopas was married to all the gopis. So they were married. So what happened?
Yes, these are not married.
So there was like a certain gopis were already married, and some were not married yet. So they were younger. That means they were younger. What happened?
No. It just means that it wasn't for everyone. Yeah.
Can we not say also that because
Also at that time they were not in Brahma Vimala Lila, they were not married. Only parents made promises. When my daughter is older, she'll marry your son. When my son is older, he'll marry your daughter. Like this. Because the boys that Krishna became, they were about Krishna's age and he was 5. So they don't actually do the wedding ceremony, then go and live with the husband at age 5. But it is possible that the agreement between the parents can take place. And that's what it's really meant when it said that the Krishna became the boys and then gopis were married to those boys. It wasn't a marriage ceremony, they didn't go to live with them or anything. It was only the promise of the parents. Yes,
can we not say Shukadeva Goswami in his really ecstasy, because many times it's really true, Bhagavatam is not chronological.
yes.
Sometimes some things may happen before, just out of bhav, avesh, he just speaks some things.
This is a very good point. It does not exactly apply here because Brahma Vimohan Lila was definitely before Vastraharan Lila.
Yeah.
Okay? So in this point it doesn't apply. However, it does apply very often. In Srimad Bhagavatam, you don't have chronological description. Due to the ecstasy of Shukadeva Goswami. And not only is the 10th canto not chronological. All the, for example, Maharaj Yudhishthira's performance of the Rajasuya Yagya and the Krishna going with the residents of Dwarka to Kurukshetra and these things, all these pastimes are described in the wrong order in the 10th canto. They're not in the order that they took place. So you can get a wrong impression unless you're aware that Shukadeva Goswami is not speaking always chronologically. Another thing that he does also in the cantos before the 10th canto, he's not speaking chronologically. And if he wants to make a point, sometimes he'll take one lila that happened at one time in history and another lila in another history, and he'll merge them together into one lila, just to give you the impression of a particular point. Though historically the details are not. For example, Shukadeva Goswami would say that Lord Varahadev appeared and he saved the earth that had sunk in the Garbhadak ocean and killed Hiranyaksha. We know it's in the 3rd canto is described. Sorry, 4th canto. So, 3rd canto. Yeah. So, actually, there are 2 different Varahadevs. Sweta Varaha and Rakta Varaha. White Varaha and red Varaha. And one appears at the time of Swayambhuva Manu, one appears at the time of Chakshusha Manu. So they're millions of years behind. And in one lila he saved the earth, and in another lila he fought with Hiranyaksha. But because Shukadeva Goswami is just absorbed in the glories of Varahadev, and he tells it like it's all just one lila. Also in the 3rd canto, Shukadeva Goswami is describing how the soul in the womb, after about 7 months in the womb, then he starts to become aware. The soul who is there becomes aware, and it's terrible suffering. And in the womb the baby is like this, praying to God. And prays to God, oh, I'm in a womb again. This time, my Lord, when I come out, I promise you I'll serve you this time. And then he describes how when the child is born, and then comes in the arms of the parents, and they're giving him love, and whatever he wants, he just goes, wah, and it appears, milk appears, food appears. Then he starts to think, I'm a prince. Everyone's serving me. And he goes into Maya. So in this description you have a soul whose consciousness is developed to the stage where they pray to God in the womb. But then when he comes out he goes into Maya. Actually this is a combination of 2 different narrations. Because the soul who has that consciousness of praying to God when they're in the womb, they'll not go into Maya when they're born. Actually. So Srila Jiva Goswami, in his If you want to know Srimad Bhagavatam, you have to study Sat Sandarbhas, 6 Sandarbhas. And he brings out all of these nuances, how to properly interpret the words of Shukadeva Goswami. Any other question? If you are new to Bhakti, please excuse me. This is like Ananda University. Some of the students here are studying 30 years, 40 years. Is there another question? Yes, Vrindavan.
I want to ask that we know about the first offense to never criticize a devotee, and on the other hand we also know that there are different levels of devotees. So how do we accommodate this in a proper way, that we associate according to our level, associating with like devotees, that this association will be beneficial for us and not commit any offense?
I am very happy that you raised this question. Because it relates to today's study of the verses of Manah-siksa also. She's saying the first offense to the holy name is to criticize the devotee. But devotees are on different levels, and we have to select our association carefully, so we associate closely with those who will uplift us. So that means we'll have to discriminate. And if we see one devotee is not so progressed and they have many problems, then is that criticizing? No, it's not criticizing. First of all, I want to say that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given a wonderful commentary on the 10 offences, and on those verses of Bhagavad Gita we spoke today about the 6 degrees, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, and going up to envy. So he said that envy is the Kam matures into Krodh, Krodh matures into Lobh. So if you have envy, then this means you have all of them, because that's like the advanced stage of lust, the advanced stage of anger, so on. And then he describes that the 10 offences to the holy name are actually 10 different manifestations of that enmity, that envy. So it begins with, how does one have enmity to God or the holy name? The first one, Satam Ninda. To have enmity to Krishna's devotees who are dedicated to the chanting of the holy name. You see? So all of the 10 offences are actually 10 different manifestations of enmity and envy, which is the advanced stage of every other bad quality. You see? Very astonishing explanation Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave. So, the word in this first offense is ninda. Ninda means to criticize, to envy, to minimize, and so on. So it means that when you say something, you do something, or think something with ill will towards a person, it doesn't really mean that, if there's a fault in them and you see it, if upon seeing it you have ill will, you'll be very happy. Oh, look at the fault he's got. I don't have. Does everyone know he has a fault? Maybe not, I should tell them.
Did others notice?
Like this. When there's ill will, if you'll see a fault, then it becomes ninda, if there's ill will. But a madhyam adhikari, the middle level of devotee, they must discriminate, and they must relate to devotees on different levels, in different ways. So, a neophyte devotee has many faults. How does the madhyam respond to that? With compassion. it is said, the Madhyamadikari should show mercy to the innocent. So, first he recognizes who is on the lower level. How does he recognize at the lower level? By seeing their faults. Huh? But his response is not ninda. His response is compassion. Because here is a soul who is part and parcel of Krishna, who is very dear to Krishna. Krishna is worried about him. And also this soul is in anxiety and suffering. So the Madhyam Adhikari, he has the ability to see a fault. And he responds with compassion because he's free from ninda. The tendency to, he doesn't criticize the fault. He thinks it's natural. Anarthas are natural. Right? They're natural for the Kanishta Adhikari. So he sees the defect, responds with kindness. If he sees someone on his same level, he responds with friendship. And seeing someone higher than himself, he responds with service. So a Madhyam Adhikari must behave in this way, otherwise he will not be steady on that platform and will go down. So mainly, the middle and higher level of Madhyam Adhikaris, they do the service of being Guru. The service of playing the role of Guru to those who are in the junior stage. That is their karuna. Prem, Maitri, Kripa, Upeksha. Kripa, that is their mercy. So, we are seeing these verses about duplicity and the desire for pratishtha. So on the one hand, the Madhyam Adhikari, he will have to give mercy to others. That mercy may come giving mantra, giving guidance, training them in archan, telling Harikatha, all of these things. So he must do this to maintain his adhikar and to progress to Uttam Adhikari as well. However, the help must come out of kripa and not out of pratishtha. If there's kapatata, if there's duplicity in the heart, then the devotee will, in the name of giving shelter and showing mercy to others, actually be acquiring for himself the material facility. Understand? So this is the danger. And why Raghunatha? So the Madhyamadikari is in a predicament. He must show mercy and help others. And the Madhyamadikari is worshipable. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, one who's chanting continuously, he is worshipable. So he will accept pranam and accept worship. Outwardly it seems. Actually he never accepts anything. He's thinking, oh, all are worshipping my Gurudev. And I am only my Guru's servant of my Guru. When they're offering flowers, then you will think, oh, when my Guru is walking, all the demigods are showering flowers. And if a dog is walking next to him, some of the flowers may fall on the dog as well. So because I am like a dog and I am walking next to my Gurudev, or some flowers, some garlands are coming to me. Things like this. He has to be very careful. On the one hand, he must give help and guidance to others to maintain Madhyam Adhikar. But he should be free from kapatata, duplicity, and free from pratishtha asha. And this is why the 9th offense is there. It's an offense to instruct faithless about the glories of the holy name. Really means it's an offense to give Harinam to a person who has not developed sufficient faith. Why would anyone give the Harinam to a person who has not developed sufficient faith? For the dakshin, for the pranami, for the pratishtha, and so on. And it's very, very dangerous. Even a person who begins being sincere, if they are not very careful, then they cannot digest the worship of many disciples and service and pranami and everything. And then duplicity will come, prakrit bhav, and so on. And then they will be lost. So another anga of the 64 angas of bhakti, don't accept many disciples. It's for the sadhak, who is trying to, those who are siddha like Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then he can have thousands and thousands of disciples. But even he will be very careful to not give, to set the example, not to give initiation to persons who have not developed sufficient faith. But now Kali-Yuga is going on, and then initiation, anything that moves, anything that has a pulse. Oh, there's a pulse. Okay, Diksha. If no pulse, only Harinam. This is going on. But this is not the teaching of our Purva Acharyas, our previous Acharyas. It is the road to disaster. So there's a difference between actual kripa and the anarthas of kapatata and the pratishta asha. So because as one's sadhana, one is entering into madhyamadika, automatically Taranga Rangini comes. All types of facilities and respect come. And so this is the waves of Maya. It's a very critical point. So in that stage, devotee must have the nirved, vishad, and pray such verses like Manah-siksa and so on. This is sincerity. Sincerity means to pray, oh my Lord, I am not sincere. I am a rascal. I am a complete fool. Please save me. So your question, is it an offense to recognize the different levels of devotees? The Kanishta Adhikari cannot do it because they have anarthas. So they think, who likes me is very advanced and who doesn't like me is a neophyte. They have envy and things like this in the heart. So when the anarthas are not fully gone but mainly gone, becomes Madhyamadikari, the Madhyamadikari can discriminate. And this discrimination is not an offense because there's no ill will behind it. My Gurudev used to say, if a Madhyamadikari will criticize you, then this is his mercy. Because it's for your benefit. So criticizing with love is not ninda. Not in front of everyone and like this. But a Madhyamadikari will help the Kanishta by pointing out, oh, don't do this, Prabhu, with love. So this is not ninda. But conversely, glorifying someone, but you don't mean it, that glorification is ninda. That is ninda. So don't think criticism is ninda. It is about your heart, whether there is ill will or whether there is true respect or compassion. Any other question? Yes, another Mandal Prabhu.
You spoke about duplicity, and I tried to figure out why it is so difficult for me, because when you're at home and you have to do a lot of work and together with mostly with people who are orientated in the material world and will be there, and you also have to show some happiness, you have to have some kind of mask, which means to have some duplicity. And if that is the main time of the day and the main time of the week, where it's sometimes very short for doing some, some devotional activities or so, I found it very difficult to switch between the worlds. Here it's nice. You can dive and all the feelings and listen to everything. But then this despondent yoga, you know. You sit there maybe in front of the deities and say yes, so whatever, and you can pray, and then you go in another world where this attitude might be rather difficult. So one has to switch, and one has to have some duplicity. That's my experience. So you might have some advice, or because if
that is not duplicity in the same way.
It's different.
Because you're not lying to yourself.
Lying to others.
Just to the others.
You're only doing, if you have a job, and in this job you have to talk to people and tell them, you'll be very happy if you buy this Herbalife product. Right? Relatively speaking, it's true, it may solve their health problems like this. It's a relative truth, you're dealing with a relative world. Okay? It's okay, it's the duty that you are doing. You are taking care of your family. If you do that duty without attachment to the results, then it will be Nishkam Karma Yoga. So the Nishkam Karma Yoga is just a platform that makes an environment in which the devotees who are still have some connection with the world, they can practice their bhakti. So Rupa Goswami said, Anyabhilashita shunyam. Don't have any other desire. But jnana kama dinavritam. He never said don't do any karma. He said don't do your karma in such a way that it will cover your bhakti. So if you are just doing your duty, maintaining your family, your house is also where Krishna is living, and money is also buying bhog to feed Krishna, like this. So if you think I am doing everything for Krishna, and it is Krishna's house, I am just a servant in his house, you're not attached to the results of your work, then like this, it's okay. But here when Manah-siksa talks about kapatata, it means a deep internal duplicity, where you are lying to yourself. I am very high, I am very advanced, I have so, you know your mind is out of control, but still, duplicity is so thick that you lie to yourself. So, also, if you feel that your stage, the stage you're in spiritual life, you're satisfied with that, that is also a duplicity. It's an internal duplicity. If you think, well, you know, I work for so many hours, 100 hours a week, and I do bhajan for 10 hours a week, and you think that's okay. No, you should lament for that. When will I have more time for devotional service? And when will I be less involved in worldly activities? So to be satisfied with a low level of practice, this is also a type of duplicity. So one should lament, come before the Lord, and try to do sadhana. And so you're saying that it's a difficulty, it's a difficulty for you to deal with the world, and that's a good sign, because you're seeing that it's a difficulty, it's an obstacle. And so one of the symptoms of sadhana bhakti is kleshagni. You're seeing it's a klesh, and if you do sadhana properly, the klesh will go away. After some time, those problems will go away. So this situation is okay. So there's a type of duplicity which is bad. It's mentioned here in Manah-siksa. And then there's a type which is okay. And that is in the relative dealings. You just have to, like Mahaprabhu said, Raghunath Swami, Antarikari nista bahi lokya vyavaha. Inwardly you cultivate your devotion, and outwardly just behave like an ordinary person. So that's a type of, there's a difference between your inside and outside. It's like a type of cheating, but it's not trying to cheat Krishna. That's following Krishna's instructions. That's following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. So it's not, it's a relative cheating, but not an absolute cheating. You know, this interesting thing, Vallabhacharya, in his line, all the acharyas are grihastas. But Vallabhacharya said, no, in our line, the acharyas, they are kapat grihasta. They are cheating grihastas. they are actually completely detached from the world. They have no interest in anything. They are deeply attached to the service of Krishna. And in order to hide it from everyone, they pretend that they are householders. This is what Vallabhacharya said. He said, because in Kali-Yuga, if you try to be a renounced person, you will wander here and there, and you'll have to eat all types of things. You don't know who has cooked it or where it came from, impure things. And so Vallabhacharya taught in his life, better to be at home, hide your feeling, and there you have Thakurji, and you yourself and your family can cook very nicely, because one of the worst things for the mind is eating impure food. And you can always cook, and you offer to your Thakurji with love, and that will be prasadam, and you'll take it, and your mind become pure, you can do lila smarna. So different sampradayas have expressed in different ways. We try to see the essence and the good points of each perspective. We'll take one more question, because now we've gone over time. Yes?
Yes, you were speaking about Manah-siksa, about Pratishtha. You said Manah-siksa is for Madhyamadikari. So means all these shlokas, 5, 6, 7, which describe the anatas, they are like above anatta nivriti. So this is what kind of, is it like subtle anatas? Or?
The stage comes. You see, the stages don't begin and end like steps. You know, if you have steps, you take your foot off one step and go to the next one. So the stage is Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana, Kriya, Anata. They're not steps in that sense. The first step is faith. And each step is a growth of that faith. So after you develop faith, then you have Sadhu Sangha. So then you go to the next stage, Bhajana Kriya. Doesn't mean that you give up Sadhu Sangha. You still have to have Sadhu Sangha in the stage of Bhajana Kriya. So you're practicing bhakti, then you come to Anartha Nivritti. That means the anarthas start to clear. Before that, the anarthas were not actually going away. And then when Nishta comes, Nishta doesn't mean that Anartha Nivritti is over. That step is finished and now you're in Nishta. It means that enough obstacles have been removed that you're engaged steadily. That you have a sustained intensity of endeavor. Enough anarthas have gone. Anartha Nivritti is not over. Even when Prem comes, there's still a little scent of anartha, which is only destroyed when you directly serve Krishna's lotus feet. So of course there are different types of anarthas, and their eradication takes place at different levels. So when you come to Nishta, doesn't mean anartha nivritti is over. It means only enough has gone that you can go quickly. It's just like coming up the hill here. If you have a bag, maybe 15 kilos, you can still come quickly up the hill. So you haven't not given up all your obstacles. You still have an obstacle, but you can go nice. But if you have to carry 50 kilos, then maybe halfway you'll have a heart attack and fall over. So like this. So when Nishta comes, doesn't mean anarthas have gone. It means that they've become light enough that you can engage continually without being deviated into other things.
Pratishtha can go even up to bar.
Up in the stage of Ruchi and the Sakti, there may be a little there. In the stage of Bhav, then the remnant of some aparad. Aparad is one of the 4 anarthas as well. So almost everything is gone, but a remnant of the reaction of some aparad is there in the stage of Bhav that stops it turning into Prem. If you want to know this in detail, you must read. The elaborate explanation is in Madhurya Katamani. Gaur Premanande. So sing one kirtan. Prasadam I expect will be about 6, and then we'll begin our evening program. 4?
No, before.
Before, or 6, maybe 5:30. And our evening program about 7 o'clock. Bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai, Vaisane Wali ki Jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Bosatu Mano Mama Madana Gopali Bosatu Mano Mama Madana Gopali Bosatu Mano Madana Gopali Bosatu Mano Mama Madana Gopali Navati Krishna Saparavati Navati Sri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Girdhar Sri Arvind Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pare Stoda Satsmat Rupanuga Charyavari Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pare Stoda Satsmat Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pare Stoda Satsmat Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarva Thakur Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Mahabhagavad Vash Gokshodas Bhakti Maharaj ki Jai Saptam Goswami Sachidananda Thakur Bhakti Nod ki Jai Sri Rupanuga Gauri Guruvar ki Jai Prem Se Gosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Brajamandala Ketramanda Gaura Mandal ki Jai Tubhuvna Manga Karisi Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai Shri Sri Radha Govinda Gopinatha Madan Manju ki Jai Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Samagana Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Om Adi Sri Rasa Sri Vishabhanu Nandini Srimati Radhika ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Om Vrindaye Tulasi Devyai Priyai Kesavasvacha Krishna Bhakti Radhe Satyavati Vancha Kalpatarubhya